Welcome into the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barnum. This show is presented by the Grid Network. And oh my gosh, do I have a Red Sox show for you tonight. Red Sox with a little sprinkle of Patriots and Bruins in there. But first and foremost, it's been a wild season to start. The Boston Red Sox came into this season with so much hype. So much hype. Me, so excited for the season. They traded for Crochet. They signed Bregman with the young players getting all the hype. We thought that this was going to be a great season. And my, oh my, could it be the exact opposite? The Red Sox are just lost. This team is shameless. I mean, the fact that they have lost 8 of their last 11, and I'm going to say 8 of their last 10, because today was a fluke. It totally was. I'll get into that game in just a little bit. But outside of today's game at 1:30, they've lost 8 of their last 10. They have had, so many one-run losses. And they find ways to lose. That's basically the way of saying it. And it almost makes you think, again, losing to them doesn't make them uncomfortable. No, they're not fazed by it. They're like, okay, let's just cash in our checks. We're good. We'll just play this sport out. We'll figure it out. Whatever. No big deal. It almost feels like they're not uncomfortable. Like, they're good. They're chilling. All right, yeah, we lost. Whatever. No big deal. Like, what? This is the Boston Red Sox. I mean, this team should be playing so much better. They really should. Like, I just don't understand what happened. Now, I have some ideas. I have some thoughts. And I have some thoughts on kind of how to fix it. I don't know if it'll happen. One of them, I don't know, maybe get a new owner who actually cares about this team and wants to invest all his money. But that's a different story for a different day. Well, you know how it is. It's the same story. I'll say it every single time. But I do want to get to today's game. With the Red Sox beating the Angels 11-9. It was kind of like, it was a fluke. This was, you lucked out. You have the baseball gods were just like, you know what? Here's a game for you. We'll give you one, right? It was Ceddanne Rafaela hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th that, no joke, wrapped around the inside of Pesky's pole and hit a poor girl who was already, clutched up. She's like, I'm just going to stay here and pray to God it doesn't hit me. Well, it did. but it, no joke, wrapped around Pesky's pole. And it was 308 feet. 308. Like, it was the bare minimum of a home run you could get at Fenway Park. It was wild. Now, it was a good hit. They celebrated. They were happy. They finally won a game. Again, losing 8 of your last 10. Now, 8 of your last 11. But they cannot figure it out. They can't. Why do I say that? Even though they won today? Simple. Because you started the game off. You lost another brutal one-run loss last night, which you have 34 losses on the season. Can you take a guess how many have been by one single run? Oh, I'll wait. Okay. 17. Half of your losses have come by one run. At some point, it's not a matter of we're in it. We just need to do this, that, and the other to get over the hump. No. you're finding ways to lose. It's not getting over the hump. It's finding ways to lose. That's what it is. Having lost 17 times by 1 run. And you have 34 losses on the season. But with this game today, you had a brutal loss last night. And what happens? Lucas Giolito comes out and probably pitched the absolute worst 2 innings you could have as a major league pitcher. And I say that because Lucas Giolito on 13 pitches, allowed the Angels 4 runs, right? That sounds a little crazy, and I'd agree with you, but that's exactly what happened. Then the Red Sox were like, nope, our offense is going to wake up today. We're going to do what we need to do to win. So what do? They get it back. They go 5 unanswered. All right, 5-4, top of the second. Red Sox are back in this. And then what happens? Giolito promptly gives up 3 more runs. So it went from being a 5-4 game in the bottom of the first, after the first inning, or actually 4-0 after the top of the first, 5-4 after the bottom of the first, and then it became a 7-5 ball game in the bottom of the second. I mean, it was just kind of like one of those, what are you doing? You know, you sucked. You think you'd come out there for the second inning and be like, all right, we got the lead again. I'm back into it. Let's get this ball rolling. I'm good. They're not going to score any more runs on me. Nope. Triple, double, and 3 more runs just added in for the effect. That's what happened. Exactly. Because this Red Sox team just doesn't get it. They don't have the stones to play. I don't know, like the culture in this team, and I'll get to the culture, I'll get to the on-field, off-the-field issues in a little bit, but, I mean, my God, 2 back-to-back extra inning losses to the Angels, who suck. They're not any good. Like, what do we do? And then you can't play baseball, followed up by that starting performance. Like, Lucas, what were you thinking, kid? Were you just coming into this game thinking like everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be dandy, I'm just going to walk in there and let's just play? If you did, it's almost acted like you didn't care. You're like, all right, I'll just throw whatever happens. And I'm not saying that he doesn't care. I'm not saying that these guys don't care. But at the same time, I mean, what a gutless performance that was. This afternoon to start off, what did he pitch today? An inning and a third? I mean, Giolito was just a mess, an absolute mess today. An inning and 2/3. Sorry, an inning and 2/3. Meanwhile, the Angel starter, they somehow allowed him to go 3 2/3, but we tied the game up in the 4th. Like, it took us another couple innings to finally tie this game up. So it was just, it was an absolute mess. And now getting back to, just the Red Sox losing 8 of their last 11, if you include today's game, 17, half of their losses are by 1 single run. And they've fallen now, well, after last night, the first time this season, 5 games under 500. They went from second in the AL East back on May 20th. See, you get the Yankees at 1, Red Sox at 2, at 25-25, at the 50-game mark. And now they've fallen all the way to 4th place. Yankees are still number 1, Rays at number 2, Blue Jays, and Red Sox, and I added their win today, so they are 30-34, 9.5 games back of the Yankees and the O's in last place. But look at this. The Yankees, last 10 games on the far right, 7-3. Rays, 6-4. Blue Jays, 7-3. Red Sox, 3-7. Orioles, 7-3. Like, we can't get our act together. Not to mention that the Red Sox are 7-23 when they score 3 runs or less. Like, it's just one thing after another with this team. They can't hit, they can't field, they can't pitch. And I cannot wait to talk about that in a little bit. But you're trying to sit there and ask the question, what is going on with this team? I think that's the $1 million question, right? What is going on with this team? Because it's not an isolated incident. It's not like this roster wasn't constructed with the notion that we got some guys. We got some good players, from our pitching staff to our fielders to our hitters. We should be contenders. We should be right there. But instead, we're more like Marlon Brando here.
I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum.
We're bums. That's it. We're bums. Like, how? Getting Alex Bregman shoring up our third base defensively. And he came out defensively with a rocky start, but he turned it around. He was really in the running for the MVP until he got hurt. Tristan Casas. Now, I'm not saying he was a 40 buck 20 guy like everybody thought he was. 40 home runs, 120 ribbies. Prove it to me, and then I'll believe you. But, he's a big body. He was supposed to be our power hitter. He goes out for the year. So, but when you deal with those injuries, it's not like, again, that blew up our season. Not even close. I think what really got the ball, kind of rolling is going back to, firing Kyan Bloom, re-signing Alex Cora, and bringing in Craig Breslow. Now, I know Cora just re-signed his contract, but it's kind of that dynamic, right? Cora, when you look at Cora, all right, and I know we talked about him. I know I was kind of on the idea that, hey, Cora is. I'm starting to blame Cora now. Like I never wanted to blame him. I never wanted to do it, especially under Bloom. Like he was my guy. Like he's a good manager. Blah blah blah. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I was saying that yes, it's now time to start looking at Alex Cora. Now it's time to start. Hey, you have this. What is going on? And Alex Cora just I think, like I said, sorry. For Alex Cora, it dates back to him being hired in 2018. With him being hired, that team was coming off back-to-back playoff appearances and losing in the first round both times. That team was ready for a championship. They were prepared. They were on the brink. And what did Alex Cora do? Exactly what we all thought he would. He led them to the best record in Red Sox history, 108 wins. They go on to pretty much dominate the Yankees, the Astros, and the Dodgers on their way to a World Series championship, the fourth one this I don't want to say decade, this millennium, right? 2000? Yeah. All right. So they got 4 titles, best record, arguably the best team in Red Sox history. And then all of a sudden, the following year, they fall off a cliff. Why? I don't know. Things happen. It wasn't the best. Then Cora gets popped. All right. Cora's part of the Astros scandal. They banned him for 2020, which, not for nothing, I wish I was getting paid that much and not having to work in 2020. I mean, that was, I don't want to talk about it. Then he comes back for 2021, and guess what? They go to the playoffs. They go to the ALCS, and they were 2 games away from being in the World Series again in 21. But then that's when everything fell off the rails, partially because they got rid of Mookie Betts. They got rid of Benintendi. They got rid of a lot of the key pieces systematically over the course of 5 years. And now we're at the situation where Cora, under Kyle Bloom's tenure, even last year, to some degree, right around the trade deadline, where it's like, all right, hey, we're gonna make some moves, we're gonna be doing something, we're gonna be active, like let's get this going, right? We're gonna be there. And then the GM and the team, they don't want to do anything. They're like, no, Kyle Bloom is too afraid to make moves. Craig Breslow didn't see the market the way we thought he would, and just kind of let it run its course. And we sucked in the second half of the year last year. So Cora never got the team, or Cora thought he never got the team that he deserved. He had a championship team. Due to the owner and the GM, they systematically dismantled it. So he was pissed. He's been pissed for a very long time, clearly. Now, with what's going on, he's got the roster. He's got the guys to go. He's got the young talent in Meyer, Campbell. Who the hell knows when they're going to call up Anthony at this point? But he had them. He's got his buddy Bregman. He had Casas. He's got all these other players. But he's not doing the same thing. He's whining. He's been whining all season. He goes to Boston College, doesn't manage that night when they're literally 4 miles from each other, Fenway, BC. The graduation took place in the morning. So, again, as I said, I am in favor of him taking the night off. I'm sorry. I'm a family man. Family comes first. So you know what? Enjoy your family. Have fun, right? But there's a reason why a lot of people were upset and pissed and kind of like, what the hell, dude? Had it been UMass Amherst, I think people would still give you grief, but I don't think it'd be as bad. The fact that it was BC, it's tough. I get it. But regardless, everything just hasn't lined up right with Cora. Now moving on to Craig Breslow. Craig Breslow comes in here, and he's still part of the analytic nerd nonsense. And with that, it's with the analytics, you know where I stand. I'm not an analytic guy. I hate it to my bones. I think nerds are ruining sports. Analytics are ruining sports. I'm trying to do everything in my power to get it out. Done. Stop it. Let's focus on what we need to focus on, and that is playing the damn game. Unfortunately, Craig Breslow, I feel like I have like a list when I say Breslow, but Craig, he comes from the Bloom mindset. He comes from that analytic nerd mindset. Even though he was working under Theo in Chicago, he told you himself day one that he's an Ivy League nerd. All he cares about is analytics and how that's going to play out. He's bringing in people, Andrew Bailey, who's focusing on the pitching analytics. And I've got some clips of him later on. But you're having two philosophies where Alex Cora is a traditional baseball guy. That's how he sees the game. And then you're bringing in Breslow, where he sees the game in a whole different way. Both of them played, but both of them think differently. And when you have a GM and a coach, a manager who think differently, that never is a good sign. Now, they can have different thoughts, they can have different opinions, but as long as they're focused on the same goal. Like if Cora was an analytic guy himself, but he looked at it a different way. If Breslow was a classic baseball guy, he could have different opinions, but look at it the same way. That's not how it works. You got Breslow, who cares about the farm, who cares about the rankings, and you got Cora, who cares about winning and winning now. He doesn't want to babysit. He doesn't want to have to teach these guys how to play, but that's all they're doing. The Red Sox are Tampa Bay North. Our last two GMs, or chief baseball operators, or whatever the hell their title is, all they care about is the farm system and making themselves look good. Which, yeah, all right, you want to have the farm system. I get it. But it's not, having a great farm system doesn't win you ball games, especially when you wear this damn uniform. Right? This is Boston, damn it. We expect to win. Now, I understand we're not winning every single year, but you have the effing money to be competitive. And I understand it comes from the top down. It's why I hate John Henry and all of them. But to have Cora and Breslow with these different philosophies, with Breslow going here, Cora going there, it's obviously not working out well. And yes, they re-signed Cora. I'm almost wondering to this point, is Cora trying to get himself fired with everything that he's saying, everything that he's doing, his actions, his mannerisms? It's almost like he's not right in the head, and it's something that, again, maybe as the weeks and months, maybe as the weeks go on, maybe not months, but as the weeks go on, maybe we'll start to see more of that crack, but he's not right. So that's something that I'm really interested in looking into. But just as a quick side piece, we got a friend of the show, Pesky Podcast. Yo, tell him how we feel. That's right. This sucks. This is not fun. We expected to have a baseball season, right? You know that. I expected to have a season, and I'll tell you, the summer goes by so much slower when the Red Sox suck. So, and then comments. His rookie season, he had a stacked team given to him, and they ran. Since then, he hasn't been able to manage any other roster he was given. Don't forget 21. The year he came back after COVID, after his suspension, he brought them to the ALCS, or at least he helped bring them to the ALCS. But even though, yeah, I agree, it was a stacked roster, but you could argue Cora's managerial process is all about letting his players police themselves. He's just there. And yes, is he a great manager? I mean, I don't know. Or actually, I shouldn't say I don't know. He hasn't shown his stuff recently. It's been 3 years since we've been to the playoffs, or actually coming up on 4 now, and it's not looking good. He is literally just let it go, let it ride. He's made some awful decisions. I've given him a pass a lot, and now it's really coming to head. But at the same time, I'm also looking at everything else. So it's hard because at the same time, yes, I want to finally blame Cora. I want to say, hey, you should have done this, and this. And it's vital. It's true. It's valid, I should say. Not vital. It's valid. But then at the same time, you look at all these situations with Breslow, and you look at the farm system, and you look at how they're developing players, and it's not good. It's clearly evident that they are doing something in the farm system that is not right. Now, to go back to kind of mix in everything off the field, I think it all started. It all started with the Devers situation, with them signing Breslow kind of at the last minute with them signing Bregman at the last minute, telling Devers, oh, hey, now we want to put you a DH. No. We're not going to sign. If we sign Bregman, you're our third baseman, blah, blah, blah. It's probably what they were telling him. Now you sign Bregman. Hey, go play DH. You don't have to worry about playing the field. Devers, no, I don't want it. This is ridiculous. Then he caves. But it was Breslow having the conversation with Devers, not Cora. Cora was all for it, which, again, kind of lay the seeds for the undermine. Because if Cora's going this way and Breslow wants to go that way, why not have the guy who is a fan favorite of John Henry? It seems like, right? If Cora was just some dude off the street, and John Henry, was just would he feel this way? He probably would be gone by now. But Cora allowed this to happen. He allowed Devers to throw a fit. Then, of course, Casas gets hurt, and everything goes to hell from there. Now, I don't disagree that Rafael Devers has never played first base in his life. He's already kind of a poor defender. So why do you want to put him in a position where he's got to make those scoops? He's got to help other players. I don't know how that's going to go. He might look foolish. He might have a Kyle Schwarber moment where he made a terrible throw over to the pitcher. But then, of course, Schwarber does it later, tips the cap to the fans. We all laugh. We all have a good time, right? That's very well what could happen. Except Devers, I don't think, is able to laugh at himself enough where if he had that errant throw the first time around and then he made it the second time around, I don't think he'd accept the, oh, yep, see, I screwed up, but hey, look at me now. Like, I did it. Yeah, and that's kind of where he might look foolish. And I agree with him. I think it would be ridiculous to throw him at first base without ever having to play. But the thing is, though, Cora enabled Rafael Devers to act this way, which all of a sudden got John Henry out of his perch and flew all the way to Kansas City with Sam Kennedy and the rest of the ownership crew to have a sit-down talk with Devers, Cora, and Breslow. Like, it was an insane. And then, of course, Devers just rakes. He has been raking all season long. And yes, should his hitting approach change if they were to throw him out in the field tomorrow? I don't believe so. I feel like that would be really foolish of Devers to somehow have playing the field now affect your swing. But at the same time, again, baseball is a mental sport. Doing one thing that's different can change everything. But Cora was a big part of allowing Devers to kind of say what he wants, to show that Devers is not a real leader, not somebody who is a David Ortiz type, is a Xander Bogaerts type. If anything, Xander Bogaerts was keeping Devers in check. But no, remember, we needed to sign Trevor Story for $140 million, not the 5 for $150 that Bogaerts wanted. Because we offered 6 at $160. I mean, it was so foolish. The way we went about Bogaerts, how he policed Devers, and then we're trying to put Devers as the guy. He is not only the face, but the leader of this organization. After this, yeah, okay, buddy. I mean, it's insanity. So there is this dynamic between Breslow and Cora. And Cora is doing, it feels like anything to either get fired or maybe become the CBO, the GM of the Red Sox. He's talked about it before, that is a position that he wants to hold eventually. He's not going to manage forever. But the whole system would need to adjust to that. And that's kind of my thought. It's either he's going to get fired, get his $22 million that he just signed, signed on for 3 years to get, or John Henry is going to have a heart-to-heart, and he's going to be like, all right, Craig, you know what? You're not getting the job done. Look at how everything has turned out. You weren't prepared. That's why we sucked. So you're out of here. 2 years on the job. I don't know if either is going to happen. It just doesn't look good. Now, to get to the on, so that's all the off the field stuff, at least so far, right? And hey, if I'm missing something, don't forget to comment below. And please like, share, subscribe. You know, if you could, be eternally grateful. But to get all of the on the field issues, you know, that is where this is where Cora is part of the blame. Management doesn't have as much, but I think they do have some blame. And the players, my God, should take a massive brunt of this, because all three phases of baseball in a Boston Red Sox uniform just suck. They are not good. Yes, we scored 11 runs today. Yes, we won. But as I said to start the show, it's the kind of a win that the baseball gods just looked down at you and said, you know what? Hey, here you go. We're going to give this to you. We feel bad, but please take it. And they did. So first, I want to start off on defense. Defense wins championships. That's what we know. And it goes for all sports. So my question is, how can you win when you have more errors than any team in baseball by a wide margin since 2023? Now you're asking yourself, what do you mean? We've committed more errors than any team by a wide margin since 2023? Yes, we have. Because if you see right here, fundamentals are a massive problem with the Boston Red Sox. On the left-hand side, you see a screen of the top 10 teams who have committed the most errors in 2025. Boston Red Sox, after last night's 3-error performance, now lead the way with 53. Then you have the Colorado Rockies team, which, mind you, the Colorado Rockies are fighting the Chicago White Sox for the worst team in baseball history at 12-50. They are number 2 with most errors. So, yes, the Red Sox, who are, as we've stated, 30-34 after today's game, have more errors than a team that could fight the Chicago White Sox for being the worst team in baseball history. How is that possible? Then you look at, on the right-hand side, the most errors since 2023. And when you calculate all that up, and that's including this season, by the way, including the 2025 season, the Red Sox are at 285. The Marlins are at 247. The Red Sox have almost 40 more errors than the Miami Marlins. Make it make sense. Now you wonder, now it all kind of makes sense why we finish so low in the standings every single year. You know, it's mind-boggling, which led me to wonder, where are the fundamentals of baseball taught? Are we teaching fundamentals in the minor leagues? Are we teaching fundamentals in high school, college, little league? Or are these kids just out for their own individual stats and they just pray to God that they throw the ball and it hits them, it hits the first baseman and they get the put out? What's going on here? Because I don't believe that these guys are teaching fundamentals in the minor leagues. And the reason why I don't believe that is because EEI correspondent and Red Sox color commentator Lou Maloney kind of opened up about that on Nesson earlier today. Take a listen.
I don't think they learn the game in the minor leagues. I just don't. I think they focus so much on individual achievement. Let's talk about your first step. Where does that rank? Let's talk about your exit velocity. Let's talk about your chase rate. Well, are we talking about winning baseball games? Are we talking about throwing it to the right base enough?
And it's so funny, too, because that is basic number one. That is how you learn the game. Now, I understand you got Marcelo Mayer who's playing out of position at third base, but it's not that different from shortstop. It's not that different from you playing in the infield. Are there some things that he does have to learn? Yes, of course. But let me ask you this. Am I blaming Marcelo Mayer for our error problems? No. God, no. It's just, you have an outfield that should be so much better. That is not. I mean, look at this. You go back to 2022 when Jarren Duran came up. Was he ready to play in the big leagues, let alone play defense out in center field? No. You remember that infamous play of his, which they highlighted on the Netflix documentary, of him just standing there. Look, like he's looking up. He lost track of the ball, and instead of continuing to look up, he looks down, looks at everybody in front of him, and is like, I don't know. And then the ball, of course, lands about 20 feet behind him to his right. And he got so upset, and I don't blame him. It's heartbreaking, when you're that guy in that position. You just, hey, stuff happens. I get it. All right. And I'm not blaming him necessarily, because look at how he developed. He finally developed to being in the running for a Gold Glove last year. He had a hell of a season last year. But where were his fundamentals? Where was he taught to play? And Devin Marrero last night mentioned, how Cora is fed up because it's almost like he has to babysit these guys. He has to teach them the game. And why did you have to teach them the game? Because they're not learning it in the minor leagues. Take a listen.
I think it really gets to him because he's an old school player.
Yes.
And he really prided himself in his career on doing the little things right. Like, these are little things that we all learned in high school to do. And now that's kind of like the game. These kids going through the systems aren't learning these little things. They're learning launch angle and exit velo. They're not learning these little intricate things, hitting the cutoff, moving runners over, looking at the outfield's position of how they're feeling the fly ball so you can move over because you know they're not going to make a good throw. These are little things that you learn as development in the minor leagues and in high school, honestly. And he's fed up, and it's good that he's taking accountability and putting accountability on his players.
And that's the thing. It's taking accountability. It's not happening down in the minors. It's just not. Because if it were happening down at the minors, these guys would be sat if they made an error, if they made a bad throw or they threw to the wrong guy. Lou Maloney, in that same interview that I just played, he goes on to talk about in single A, you make several errors. In double A, you make one error. And then in triple A, that's kind of where you know the game pretty down. You know your position. You know what you're doing. And you're able to and then you're able to kind of see the big league, test out the big leagues. And then the great thing that the Red Sox have done in the past is they've brought in guys up and not expected them to be leaders on the team, to give a lot for the team. Remember, Jacoby Brissett, force of habit, Jacoby Ellsbury and Dustin Pedroia were brought up in 06 and 07, and they tested the waters. Pedroia won the start at second base in 07, and his first month of hitting, he sucked. But he wasn't given the reins because we had Manny Ramirez. We had David Ortiz. We had a Mike Lowell. We had guys who were there to support him and help him through. 2013, we had a young Xander Bogaerts, right? Young Xander Bogaerts got brought up, but everything wasn't put on him. He did it. He went out. He played good defense, and that was it. Now, with the fundamentals and everything that is going on, it's all about boosting your stats, getting your exit velocity up, making sure that your launch angle is right. It's going in the right direction, which, in other words, means up, not line drive, not something that, Ted Williams mentioned a lot on how to hit. It's all about launch angle. It's all about analytics. It's all about numbers. It's all about nerds. And it's all about individual performance, which, yes, baseball has a lot to do with individual performance. It does. You know that. I know that. It's a 1v1 game. You listen to Barry Bonds mention it on a podcast not too long ago. It is him versus the pitcher. That's it. Everything else plays into it. But that is the crux of the issue. Pitcher versus hitter. Who wins? Then if the hitter wins, where does the ball go? How good's the defense behind the pitcher? And from the looks of it, it looks like we don't know. We have a team that is so focused on their own individual performance, which isn't even that good, by the way. But they're so good on they're so focused on their individual performance that they're not worried about how they play. All the mistakes that they're making are what should have been made in Double-A. Ceddanne Rafaela's throw last night that he airmailed over the catcher. I'm sorry. That throw should have been on a line where the cutoff man should have been able to cut it off. If he didn't want to, or if the catcher said don't, then it should have gotten to the catcher. The other thing, David Hamilton, when he pinch ran for Meyer last night, or was it Meyer? Regardless, when David Hamilton pinch ran, was on second base, and Durant hits a deep fly ball out in this left center field, and David Hamilton tags up, but then gets a third of the way there and decides to walk back. Dude, you should have gone. That is your job. You're not a fielding expert. You're not there to hit. You're there to run. That's like Dave Roberts trotting out to first base with Bill Miller up to plate and not stealing an 0-4. Or going to steal and Posada throws the ball down, but then he gets a third or half of the way there and then retreats because he's like, oh, wait, no, I was still screwed up in the head. I didn't want to go there. Like, no, you go. That is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to run. He should have tagged up, but he didn't. Now, how different would the outcome have been had he tagged? With the way Adele threw the ball, I believe that David Hamilton absolutely would have been safe. But then from there, I don't know. Would he have scored? Again, that's not the point. The point is just to show that fundamental baseball is not working. They are teaching these guys on the fly. And from that perspective, yes, I can kind of understand why Alex Cora is pissed. Because he was gifted the best team, arguably, in Red Sox history in year one. Now, he's got to teach these guys how to play the damn game? The hell are they doing? You have four minor league teams? Low A, single A, double A, and triple A, obviously, and Worcester. They're so focused, and maybe that's why Roman Anthony's not been called up. Allegedly it's based on his hitting, but there's a lot more to that story. It's amazing to me that these guys are so focused on individual stats, or that, not the guys, but the minor league system that the Red Sox are running are so focused on bringing these guys up individually that they don't care. They're not teaching them the game. That's not their job, which I don't know about you, but isn't that the game? Shouldn't they be held accountable for their actions, making a bad throw? Shouldn't they be learning how to play their position or positions if that's what the team ultimately needs in the long run? Like baseball, it's funny to me. In the minors, they're not focused on that team in particular winning. No. They're just focused on developing individual performances, teaching these guys, hey, here's how you hit the ball. Here's the launch angle you need to be at. And here is, all the hitting mechanics that you need, which I'm about to get into in just a minute. But not for nothing, even Cora mentioned last night, they're not getting better. Take a listen.
I mean, we keep making the same mistakes. We're not getting better. At one point, it has to be on me, I guess, right? I'm the manager. So, I got to keep pushing them to be better. They're not getting better. They're not, We keep making the same mistakes. I'll be very honest about it, very open about it,
Yeah. And that absolutely does fall on him. That absolutely does fall on him. It falls on him and it falls on the players. He's not teaching. And again, he's not teaching them the game. And the players sure as hell don't know the game. Perfect example too last night. They, in a situation with the bases loaded, in a tie ball game, what do? They back off the corners. They play for the double play. And Abraham Toro, got a rocket to third base, but played for the regular double play, going second to first. 5-4-3. Instead of doing what they should have done, which is corners in, out, middle infield back, play for home plate. And had he gotten that ball, I mean, hell, I still think he could have gotten the runner at home anyway. But 5-2-3. They could have had that double play easily. And Cora defended the move last night. But again, that's knowing the game. You're trying to prevent the out at home at all costs. It's a tie ball game in the 9th inning. Or 10th inning, excuse me. Hello, McFly, wake up. Don't you know how to play? Isn't that kind of how this goes? Haven't you risen through the ranks? You played in the Little League, you played in high school, you played in college, you played in the minors, and now you're in the big leagues. You made the show. You've risen the ranks. You've developed an understanding of this game that not many people can do. You develop a talent that not many people in the world can do. And then you do that. Then you make these moves like that. And it's not just one move. Again, as I said, 53 of them. 53 errors. And that wasn't an error. That was more of a mental lapse than anything else. I don't know if that was coming from the dugout or if the players themselves did it themselves. Like that's what they wanted to do. If the players wanted to play like that and play for the 5-4-3 rather than the 5-2-3. So that's fielding. That's number one. That's the number one issue with this team. Then you have the hitting, which I mentioned Trevor Story briefly, in terms of him taking the money to get over Xander Bogaerts, or taking the money to be Xander Bogaerts' replacement. And yet, he is arguably the worst hitter on this team. Now, it's not, maybe not statistically, but the dude can't hit outside of Coors Field. Let's just put it like that. Because first of all, he's never played more than 100 games in a Red Sox uniform. And he's batted a total of 228, in a Red Sox uniform. He's batted a total of 228, a 287 OBP, a 379 slugging percentage, 28 home runs, 116 RBIs in 221 total games. Not good by any stretch of the imagination. Then, if you want to look at his batting averages since he was in a Red Sox uniform, because this is what intrigued me when trying to look it over. He batted 238 in 2022, 94 games. In 23, he played 43 games and batted 203. Last year, he was batting 255, but got injured after 26 games. And now this year, as of, I think, last night, he's batting 218. It's not something that you should be proud of. It is a below average hitter. Trevor Story. And yeah, he was off to a great start. Well, I shouldn't say great. He was off to a good start last year. But this year, and so he has a good weekend against the Braves, but he has always done well against the Braves. So I'm not jumping on the hype train yet. He's getting the money to not play, above average defense, and he's getting the money to just suck at hitting. So Trevor Story is a problem, but you know who else is a problem? And I kind of blame him, but I don't believe he is the sole reason to the issue. And I believe that this kid is going to have a good MLB career one day. It's Christian Campbell. Mr. Proof of Concept. Driveline Baseball was all hot for this kid. All hot for this kid. And check it out. I mean, you look on the left-hand side, March and April, he was 31 for 103, batting 301, had an OBP of 407, slugging percentage of 495, 12 extra base hits, and 32 strikeouts, but 32 strikeouts, permitted. It's his first time. He's trying to figure it out. He's got a very, very awkward swing, but that's all right. He'll get his act together until the month of May. The month of May came around, and he was 11 for 86, a $194 on base percentage, 163 slugging percentage. He had one extra base hit, which was one home run, and 27 strikeouts. 27 strikeouts. Now, if you want to look at the stats, his strikeout rate is 32%. It's not good. He has got a terrible strikeout rate. And again, he's still young. Pedroia had a tough start. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because Driveline had him as the proof of concept. If you can remember, earlier this year, right after spring training, Christian Campbell got the nod over Marcelo Meyer, who, not for nothing, Marcelo Meyer had the better spring. He had the better spring. And yet they still gave it to Christian Campbell. Why? Because he was Driveline's proof of concept. See, they took a 4th-round player and had him shot up through the big league, or shot up through the minor system, played no more than half a season out in Worcester, gets the spring training nod, and all of a sudden becomes the guy to take over, to win, he won the job outright, statistically, and just looking with your eyes. He didn't win the job outright. He won the job because they have 10, 9, 10 driveline nerds working for the team. The hitting company that, was founded by a computer science dropout, a gambler, and claims to be a little league coach. This guy knows what it takes to hit. This guy knows more about hitting than Mr. Ted Williams. No, he doesn't. They're doing it to get back, to say, see, look, this is if we can get a proof of concept with one player, then our system is going to take off. Then we're going to get hired all throughout all 30 major league teams. All the minor league teams are going to hire us. All the colleges are going to hire us. And they're going to be across the system. They're going to infect their venom into baseball and ruin the sport as it is known. But the funny part is, their proof of concept is not doing well when the rest of the world knows how to attack this guy. And the sad part is, I hate to sit here and say that I want him to do bad, because it's going to be the complete opposite of what Driveline. It's going to be the complete antithesis of Driveline. So it's going to, be bad. It's going to hurt Driveline, but it's also going to hurt this kid too. And that's the tough part. That's what I don't want. And that's why I go back to the time when you had Jim Rice allegedly talking to Christian Campbell and teaching him, hey, go for the line drive. And then you have that chief nerd with Driveline. His name escapes me now, but you have him tell a baseball Hall of Famer, the guy who learned secondhand from Ted Williams, that's not how we teach it. That's not how we teach how to hit. I don't know. Who the hell would you rather trust? A baseball Hall of Famer who's lived it, who's done it, who's learned, can I grab the book? From the best, who's learned from the best? Or are you going to trust some geek in khakis and big foggy glasses with 2 buck teeth saying, oh, no, that's not how we teach. That's not how we teach it. I don't know. Give me the guy who's done it. Give me the guy who learned from Ted Williams. Give me the guy that's in the Baseball Hall of Fame today, whose number is retired at Fenway Park. Driveline should be fired. And these guys, and the funny part is, when Driveline was being touted and highly touted that, oh, look at how good they're doing, this, that, and the other, people, or look how Christian Campbell's doing, and people like myself were getting on Driveline for being a terrible organization, for being full of frauds, for trying to change the way baseball is being played. But you have, they were trying to change the way baseball is played, but you had all the people trying to defend them coming out saying, hey, they're more in the minor league system. They're not with the big club. They're more at the minor league system, which now it's like fantastic. Now you just gave me all the ammo, because listen, I'll still get on the Red Sox hitters today, who wear the Red Sox uniform. and get on for their hitting and how they're playing and attacking and doing all that. But you clearly are seeing now that having Driveline as a part of your minor league system, that having them go so far as to try to change the way hitters hit to the point where you're more concerned about launch angle, exit velocity, all this nonsense termination, expected this, expected that. It's not it's not good. It's not good for the sport of baseball. We just saw the Celtics live through this. We saw the Celtics base their entire strategy off nerddom, nerd analytics. And look how it turned out. They lost to an inferior basketball team. All because they wanted to chuck up wide open threes rather than actually play the game. You know, it's amazing to me that these guys try to claim that they know all this stuff about baseball when they don't. You even had that same guy who, confronted Jim Rice say that if you don't know numbers, if you don't know this stuff, you can't be a hitting coach. Well, you know what? I beg to differ. I'm a fan. I've followed this game my entire life. I'm a fan just like you. And I guarantee you or I, who are traditional baseball purists, who follow the way the game, who want the game to be played, it's supposed to play. Having read this book cover to cover, I guarantee you I could be a better hitting coach than any single person at Driveline, period. And if anybody from Driveline wants to challenge me, like that's an impossible thing to do because no MLB team, no minor league team is going to hire me just off the cuff to be a hitting coach. But I guarantee you they could hire me and I would be a much better hitting coach than any of those nerds, because again, calling it the future of baseball, launch angle, exit velocity. No, what you need to do is you need to go back to the classics. There's a reason why society today is going back to the classics, whether it's with music, whether it's with just with thought, societal norms. Go back to the classics. Why? Because it works. And the beauty about baseball is it never changes. You're trying to change it. You're trying to form baseball into your own image. But I'm sorry. The game was started in the late 1800s. It's been played the same way then. It's going to be played the same way today. It's going to be played the same way tomorrow. Now, are there going to be little wrinkles? Are there some different things to look at that can help a player do X, Y, and Z? Yes, but that X, Y, and Z are the classics, are the things that don't change. And, trying to rewrite sports, like these nerds who are trying to rewrite sports and make it into their own image, it's not going to work. It's going to have a falling out, whether it's today, tomorrow, next month, next year, 5 years from now. I promise you, it is going to have a massive falling out. With what the Celtics just did, I don't know. Maybe that could be the Kickstarter in the NBA. But like I said, when you go back to it, the jocks had sports. The nerds, for lack of a better example, had D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. Now, they're trying to take the math and analytics from their activities and put it on what the jocks got, what the jocks had, the sports. And it will not work. I promise you that. And I cannot wait for it to happen. It is going to eventually happen. I just don't know when. I hope it's soon. I hope they go back to Ted Williams, the actual science of hitting. Not these numbers, not, launch angle velocity, not spin rate, not any of this crap. No, go back to the basics, because that is the fundamentals of the sport. And if you're watching this Red Sox team, they clearly don't know fundamentals. They don't. And it's shown as they carry all the way up, through the minor league system. And it's showing now. I mean, another example is the pitching philosophy, the philosophical pitching mindset that Andrew Bailey has, right? He believes going up through the system, it's all about analytics. Take a listen.
From a pitching side of things, there's some outlier qualities that really help a pitcher get to the big leagues, and we want to exploit that at all costs. A lot of the time it's analytically driven, whether it's pitch movement, shape, usage, those types of things. So kind of putting the right recipe together to help these guys have success. And then
So he said it himself, going up, it's all about analytics and philosophy. But when he talks about his philosophy and kind of what he wants his pitchers to kind of emulate, this is what he had to say about it in the same interview.
You just look for the history of baseball, and spin pitches just play better, and off-speed pitches, and limit damage. And we're looking at expected stats as well. Like, we want to keep the ball in the yard as best as possible, and we want to limit damage and punch guys out. And
that's it. It's off speed. They talk about wanting to punch guys out, but it's off speed. It's expected stats. And I don't know about you, but when you see expected stats, did those actually happen? Are those stats what could have happened or what did happen? Because I mean, I don't know. I'd rather focus on stats that actually happened, that actually worked, versus stats that don't work, that are expected, that could be the outcome, but might not be. Because that's what matters. And if you look at the pitching staff, outside of Garrett Crochet, who is just an absolute stud of an ace, I mean, everybody else, Tanner Houck has fallen off a cliff. I don't know what happened to him, but either he didn't develop his stuff or Andrew Bailey's pitching philosophy has now come home to roost, because you have these guys who just don't understand and are throwing meatballs. Lucas Giolito today, 13 pitches, 4 earned runs. Brian Bayo, got down 3 games. He was down 3-1 and got through 6 innings and came off celebrating, being happy that he finally got through 6 innings pitched. Which, again, why are you celebrating? You're losing. He lucked out getting the no decision because Ceddanne Rafaela hit a 2-run bomb last night. Like, it's these little things, the culture, the philosophy, the attitude, everything about this team is just rotten to the core. Absolutely rotten. And at this point, I want Roman Anthony to get called up, and I feel terrible for this kid because he absolutely should be playing in the majors. Not for nothing, in my opinion, all 3 of them should have been up in the majors at the start of the season. But here's the problem with that. They don't want that. They want to get as much service time out of Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer as possible. They had to bite the bullet on Maya because Bregman got hurt and Devers won't play. But with Roman Anthony, they're trying to do everything in their power, because if he were to win Rookie of the Year, if he were to reach a certain amount of games, then a year of service time is going to be taken away from them. And they're more concerned about service time and getting as much out of the kid as humanly possible, rather than focusing on winning. Because the Royals who drafted Jack Caglione out of Florida, last year, 2 years ago, tops. He is killing it. And he got called up this weekend to go play for the Royals. I think his first game was last night. And Kansas City is kind of in the same boat as Boston. They're probably more in it than Boston is. I mean, actually, no, they're 32-29. They're 7.5 games back of the Tigers, in the AL Central. So they're kind of in the same boat as the Red Sox. Couple games down, they're trying to call up a kid who just smashes the ball, absolutely crushes it, set the SEC record for home runs in a single season, and at least the Florida Gators team record for a single season. So the dude rakes, but they called him up because they want to win. They want to get that fresh bat in the lineup and let him let loose. They don't care about service time. They're just like, nah, have at it. Let's go. This is what we drafted you for. Whereas the Red Sox, they're like, no, we want to still have an excellent farm system. So having Roman Anthony as still in the farm system for at least another year, he's still going to be the number one prospect. So our farm rankings are going to be through the roof because Roman Anthony is still there. It's all about farm rankings. It's all about the wrong victories. The only victory that should matter is wearing this Red Sox uniform and winning World Series titles. Don't let the nerds, the computer geeks, the robots that work in the Red Sox front office try to sell you that, we're committed to winning a World Series. We want to bring another title back to Boston. If you did, Roman Anthony would be here by now. If you did, you would be concerned about getting good veteran leadership on this roster. And, not letting veteran leadership leave like Xander Bogaerts did when you could have offered him a team discount. Like, this is what is so mind-boggling. And you know what? As commenter, Burley Sullivan, Red Sox are dog water. Burley, I'd say they're worse than dog water. They're cat water. It's just mind-boggling that these guys are so focused on winning farm rankings. The front office showing off that, look at us. We know how to draft and develop. Really? If you know how to draft and develop, look at this roster. Look at the fundamental errors they've been making since 2023. Hell, probably 2022. Fundamental mistakes. Stuff that's up here. You're not developing. You're not doing this. You're so focused on the nerds and analytics and individual stats just to get these guys up through the farm system that you don't care about how they actually play, which is shameful, which is why the Red Sox are probably out another season. I don't see this ending well again. We're another season without baseball. And John Henry, sell the damn team to somebody who cares, who's somebody who wants to pay the big bucks, to somebody who wants to have World Series trophies lined up. And yes, I know you won 4 titles. You were responsible for maybe 2 of them, 3 at most. 2013 was kind of that iffy year where you kind of signed veterans who weren't getting the same pull that they used to, but then all of a sudden had a rejuvenation come out. That's kind of what happened, I think, in 2013. So 50-50 on that. 2018, nah. You weren't going after the big name free agents. JD Martinez, you got on the cheap. Like, let's be honest. 2018 was all homegrown, which is great. It's great to have homegrown championships like that. but it's not all like there was more to that championship than just having a stud guy who just who just came out of nowhere in Mookie Betts based on where he was drafted. So again, yeah, you won 4 titles, John. Good for you. But when you treat the team the way you have treated it, and I've said it once and I'll say it again, the way you treated it since the 2018 World Series championship, yeah, I could care less about the 4 World Series titles. You, sir, either need to change your tune or you need to go. One or the other. Unfortunately, I'm not getting my wish. Whew. Wow. The Red Sox, man. They bring a lot out of you, don't they? They sure do. So just a couple quick points that I want to talk about when it comes to the Patriots. So the Patriots had what could be a very interesting offseason already. And yet we're not even to training camp. You know, we have to deal with OTAs and all of that, you know, stuff where all these guys are trying to, you know, play in non-contact jerseys and, you know, have all the fun there. And meanwhile, oh, hey, Eden. Hi, pretty girl. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's my little puppy. Oh, yeah, she's so good. She's so good. She likes this Gronk jersey, too, which, I mean, heck, who doesn't love Rob Gronkowski, right? He was an awesome tight end. Awesome. But, you know, with the Patriots, you know, you got the Stefon Diggs incident, which you've probably heard by now. You know the story. You know the pink sea salt that he had. Wink, wink. Wink. You know, and being around all the girls. I mean, it's one of those, listen, he didn't get arrested for it. We don't know what the substance was. You know, I hope it wasn't, you know, the dirty word, the dirty drugs, you know, that it could be. And so, hey, it's all right. He's not in any legal trouble. He's good to go. And he's actually been on the field with the team this past week, which he's been showing off for everybody. And that's awesome. That's great to see. He's helping Jalen Polk, you know, figure out his first step off the line of scrimmage, trying to help these guys with the routes and make the moves that they need to do, you know, because that's what he's there for. Yes, he's also there to make 80 catches for 1,000 yards and have a hell of a couple of years here, help give Drake May a freaking weapon. You know, for once, like, hallelujah, we actually go sign a guy. Yes, he's coming off an ACL. He hasn't been medically clear, but I'm excited to see what this guy can actually do and what he can show for the Patriots, because that's really what is going to be the big factor. What are we going to get out of him? You know, of course, he's not cleared right now. I think rumor has it that he should be ready by training camp or the preseason games. He should be cleared to play, and then by week 1, he'll be good to go. You know, at least with some of the videos that have been coming out about him, watching him run routes and go that way, watching him run routes, hitting his breaks, hitting his stride, he looks good. And he looks jacked. Like, that's the other thing. You know, he looks good. And that's what I want to know. What are we going to get out of him? Are we going to get 70 to 80 catches, 1,000 yards? Are we going to get the guy who's going to be Drake May's safety blanket? A guy that Drake May can just chuck the ball up and he knows that Diggs is going to be there to catch it? Because I'm telling you, was I crazy to post this last week saying that the Patriots are going to get 12 wins? Yes, absolutely. I was crazy. But you know what? That just means how excited I am. You know, I don't think we're going to get 12 wins. I want us to get 12 wins. I think if everything falls the right way, that could be us, but Drake May still has a lot to prove. And now that he's got at least one weapon in Stefon Diggs, is that what's going to be? Will will Diggs help propel May into the next stratosphere that we saw Jaden Daniels just start from day one? That's something that I'm really interested to find out. And I think Diggs has the capability to help Drake May develop another step in his quarterback development. I don't think Drake May is going to light the world on fire with 4,800 pass yards, 45 TDs, and, 8 interceptions. And by the way, if he does, book that right now. I said it first. Bam. June 4th. But no, I don't expect that to happen. Because again, a lot would have to go right. But I'm excited to see what Stefon Diggs can bring. I'm excited to see what Josh McDaniels can bring to this kid and how fast this kid can learn under a real offensive coordinator. Now, the stuff I've heard saying that, of course, Drake May liked Alex Van Pelt, and that Van Pelt really honed in on the footwork and kind of tried to develop the quarterback in that way. I love it. Absolutely. I love that type of style, where, again, if you really think about it, a lot of the stuff that we do on the day-to-day basis really starts with that bottom half. When I used to teach boxing, I would try to make sure that people had their footwork, down first before they ever threw punches. Because without footwork, without that stable base, you're not going to succeed. And that's something that when I heard that about Alex Van Pelt and Drake May, I was like, actually, you know what? I liked Alex Van Pelt as a quarterback coach. I just didn't like Alex Van Pelt as the offensive coordinator. And I hope I try to say as much. Last year when I was ripping on the Patriots left and right, it kind of gave me no choice. I mean, it was just, how could you not? But overall, though, yeah, Josh McDaniels, as an offensive coordinator, is a massive, massive upgrade from Alex Van Pelt. And, based on history, Mike Vrabel is a massive upgrade from Gerard Mayo. I hear Gerard Mayo is probably done coaching. I feel, that's tough. It's sad to hear. It's never fun, but he was given a bad hand while also, not being the best fit. Both things can be true. And I think that really was the case. Both things in that situation can be true. But with this whole Stefon Diggs he's back at camp. He's a diva. No two ways about it. I mean, hell, the guy's dating Cardi B, and I vehemently dislike Cardi B. I think she's just an absolute evil person. I don't know why anybody would ever want to date her. But, but that's beside the note. I mean, Stefon Diggs, a diva receiver at the end of the day. So to see that type of stuff, not surprised. Like I said, hey, you didn't get into any legal trouble. As long as you're not getting into legal trouble wearing a Patriot uniform, you're good to go. You're good. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what OTAs kind of have. But with the Red Sox, just acting the way they're acting and playing the way they're playing, I mean, hell, I'm going to be really trying to hone in on training camp soon, because it's going to be long summer. And when is if you want to let me know when the first training camp starts, if they posted that yet, but whenever training camp starts, I think I'll be covering it from day one or maybe day -50. I'll be covering it tomorrow, even though they're not going to be doing any training camp stuff yet. because the Red Sox, good God, they just drive me up a wall. But the last thing, too, I want to just talk about is the Boston Bruins. Now, with the Boston Bruins, they suck. You know, they're not good. They got the 7th pick in the draft, as I've mentioned before. And then they also are in a situation where now they're hiring. They are the last team in the NHL to be on the lookout for a new head coach. That's right. They're the last team to be on the lookout for a new head coach. And that's not a good thing. They really shouldn't be this. Hi, Eden. Yes. Yeah, she likes the jerseys. Hey, you know what? Maybe I'll keep wearing these jerseys, huh? What do you think? Should I? She's here. How can you not? But they're the last team in the NHL to have a coaching vacancy, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it. Well, it's kind of ridiculous, kind of not, because the reason why I say it's ridiculous is because they really shouldn't be this far along the process, in my opinion, without a head coach. They've already been out of the playoffs for what? 3 weeks now? Over a month, and they really need to have a guy there. But when you look at the track record that is Don Sweeney and the Boston Bruins organization dating all the way back to the friggin' 1970s, they don't like head coaches. Let's be honest. They don't like head coaches, because going all the way back to Harry Sinden, who was the general manager from 72 to 2000, how many times did that guy hire and fire coaches? Yeah, one bad season. And he just let him go. Let him go. And then they brought in Mike O'Connell. Jeff Gorton was an interim general manager. Peter Chiarelli, look how many times it took him. It took them out of the playoffs to let him go. And now we got Don Sweeney, who, yes, made the right decision to trade Brad Marchand. I'm not going to deny that. If you believe differently, I'd love to know down in the comments. But trading Brad Marchand was the right thing to do. Letting everybody go was the right thing to do. And it looks like he got a pretty decent return for a lot of these guys. That I'm excited for. How can you not be? But they're taking way too long to hire this guy. And I believe that a lot of the head coaches out there and a lot of the assistant coaches too are looking at the Boston Bruins organization and saying, no. You have a bad history. You're blaming me, essentially, for the reason why you drafted poorly. Right? Tell me this. If you gave oh God, I got Peter Chiarelli on my mind. It's not him. Bruce Cassidy. If you gave Bruce Cassidy the 3 players after the 2015 draft, if you gave them Matthew Barzal, Thomas Chabot, and of course, why is it now that I'm always blanking? right when you need something, you always blank. But regardless, if you gave him those 3 guys after the Bruins drafted, I think he'd still be here. Not only because he was a great coach, and I thought he got a lot out of the players, but by the time Jake DeBrusk, I want to be traded. Bruce Cassidy doesn't treat me well. I don't like it here. Which they should have done. They should have shipped his ass out of there, gotten a great deal, because they would have gotten a great deal when he was whining about it. But yes, we wouldn't have had Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci back, or at least David Krejci wouldn't have been back. But we had Matthew Barzal, Kyle Connor, and Thomas Chabot, a center, a winger, and a D-man. I think we would have been fine. I think we would have been fine without those guys. And who knows? Maybe they wouldn't have been a fan of Bruce Cassidy either. But you know what? I would have rather lived in that reality than this reality where we drafted DeBrusque, Senishin, and Zaboral. Because at least that reality, we have 3 all-stars right there and potentially a couple Hall of Famers. I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm not calling them Hall of Famers. I'm just throwing it out there, potentially. But even still, we would have had 3 studs, in great positions too. Center, winger, D-man. Great spot to be building, right? So when looking for this new coach, the coach is thinking to himself, I'm the problem, even though you can't draft worth a damn. That doesn't make any sense. And I'd agree with the coach, which is maybe why this is being prolonged. They're disguising it as, oh, we're taking our time. We just want to kick back and relax. We just want to focus. No. No, I think you're taking your time because half of the people that you look to immediately told you to F off because you're not going to put the blame on us anymore if we suck next year, 2 years, 3 years from now, right? So that's kind of, I think, the problem with that. And then, too, they're looking at Jay Leach and Marco Sturm. Now, it's great that, they're looking at these guys. They're younger guys. I think the 2 questions that I have are, 1, are they qualified for the job? And then 2, why are you looking at them more in particular than an experienced guy? And the first one, yes, I think they're both qualified. I think it's going to be good. The issue that I have with that is the fact that they are related to the Bruins in some way or another. Marco Sturm obviously scored the game winner playing in this exact sweater in this game. Yeah, damn it. I hate when I do that. It's crisscross, So, he scored the game winner in this sweater. But it's like, I don't care if he played here before. I don't care if he has a history with this organization. I just want to know if he's going to be good enough. Is he going to qualify? And a lot of people in the AHL say, are excited about him. He's, did really well. But the other thing that scares me, though, is because that he has a relationship with the Bruins organization. How much control are Neely and Sweeney going to have on him? Because what it sounds like, who that they want to go after are guys who are focused, who can take direction, right? There are guys who can take direction from Don Sweeney who are not going to stand up for themselves, for their beliefs. Whatever Don Sweeney and Cam Neely have, like kind of going back to the Craig Breslow, Alex Cora, how they're both going separate ways. Breslow is an analytic guy. Cora is an old school baseball guy. To the worlds, they don't match. That's what I'm wondering. Are the Bruins so hell bent on? Are they hell bent on getting a guy who will sit there, take orders, and listen to whatever they have to say and follow their rules? Not have rules of his own and how he's going to make the team better. No. If Marco Sturm, let's say, is the next Bruins head coach, then it's going to be basically Cam Neely and Don Sweeney playing puppets, as the puppeteers, for Marco Sturm. And I'm not saying that Sweeney and Neely are going to be calling out line shifts and that type of thing, but just from a broader perspective, that Sturm has the same views as Sweeney and Neely. So that way, everybody can be cohesive in what they want, which isn't a bad thing, as long as what they are doing is putting this team in the right direction, giving this stockpiling, trying to build back the farm system, which is possible while winning championships. You can do both in the NHL and in Major League Baseball, especially in Major League Baseball. So I don't know. I think the Bruins head coaching search is, in my opinion, taking way too long. They should have had this thing wrapped up already. I understand you got the Cup finals going on, but if no one from there is going to be hired or that they're interviewing, then yeah, in my opinion, I also think they should have gone for someone with experience too. But hey, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it works out for the best. But everybody, thank you so much for sticking around, tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hope you learned some things today. Hope you took away some things. And hey, at the end of the day, I'm a fan just like you. It's awesome. I love Boston sports. I love the Bruins. I love the Celtics. I love the Patriots. And I love the Red Sox. That's why I'm so animated. It's because I love them so much. They drive me up a freaking wall, right? They drive me up a wall, damn it. That's what they do. So, listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if you could, please share, like, subscribe. You can click down below, follow all the socials below, especially over here on the Grid Network, where I got a ton of great content. We got the 8 o'clock spot every single Tuesday. Don't forget to check that out. A lot of great content, hosts, and everybody over there. So please subscribe to them as well as you do to me. Thank you so much. And I hope you all have a great rest of your night. God bless. And have a great rest of your week. Thank you.